Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. For props for today, a couple hard blocks, a soft block, and then maybe a strap will come in handy. And when you're ready, we'll get started in a seated position. If there's something else your body's asking for, then go for that instead. If you're coming to cross-legged, then you might sit up off of a prop. You could also be in a kneeling shape or with the legs extended. Just take a moment to let the hips settle into the floor. And whatever you've chosen for your shape, if there's anything you can adjust to make it feel a little more comfortable, then please do that. Once the hips have settled in, give the spine a little movement just to check in. And when you're ready, you can still that down as well. Tall spine, soft shoulders. Find a little more length through the back line of the neck, so maybe a slight tuck of the chin in towards the throat. The hands can land wherever they feel the most comfortable. If it feels okay to close down the eyes, then go for it. Otherwise, steady your gaze. Once you find your stillness here, start to notice your breath. Notice where it feels like you're breathing from. Does it feel like a lift of the chest, the upper chest in particular? Does it feel like space around the belly? Does it feel like you're breathing more through the back body? And as you invite the breath to deepen, see if it starts to slow down a little bit as well. Perhaps the inhale starts in the belly here. And then as it continues, you get a little bit into the back body. And lastly, maybe the chest lifts a little bit. And then as you exhale, you can reverse it. So releasing through the chest, through the back body and sides, and then through the belly. Be with your breath here, whatever it looks like. And both now and at any point during your practice, if you notice that the mind starts to wander, see if you can bring your attention back to your breath. Stay with your breath. You can choose stillness for as long as you need. And only when you feel ready, we'll start to stretch the body here. If you're sitting cross-legged, you can switch the cross of the legs. You might keep the eyes closed for this part. Reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. Take the right hand to the floor over to the right. And take a deep inhale, lengthen the left hand side. As you exhale, start to arc over towards the right. Keep the left hip nice and heavy, really stretch from the left hip all the way to the left fingertips. And then you might bend the elbow, maybe left hand to the back of the head. And keep the chest nice and proud here. Breathe deeply. Gently release the left arm, bring yourself back upright. And then left hand down towards the left, right arm to the ceiling, deep inhale. And arc over towards the left. The right hip stays heavy, find that stretch. Keep the chest open, especially if you find it turning towards the floor. Maybe you're bending the top elbow here. Breathe into that stretch through the whole right side. Gently release the right arm, bring yourself back up. And roll the shoulders up towards the ears, and then back and down. And twice more. Awesome. And then when you're ready, release the legs, give them a little shake out, a tap for the knees, a windshield wiper for the feet. And when you're ready, you can swing the legs around, come and find a tabletop position. Move your props off to the side. You can set the hands roughly underneath the shoulders, knees roughly underneath the hips. And take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, swing the left hip towards the left and then bring the hips back towards the heels. Inhale breath, take the hips over towards the right as you bring the shoulders back over the wrists. And then exhale, hips to the left as you circle them back. Moving in this direction, move with your breath at your pace. One full inhale and exhale for each full circle that you make. And there's always the option to exaggerate the movement a bit. You can also pause anywhere along the way if there's a sticky spot you want to breathe into. Last full circle this direction. The next time you inhale and circle forward, take a brief pause And then reverse it, hips towards the right as you circle back. With your inhale, hips to the left as you circle forward. And this direction may feel a little different, so you can take it easy. You can add on and keep moving with your breath. Last couple circles. Last full circle, take your inhale, circle forward. With your exhale, circle back, and we'll pause in child's pose. You might take a moment to set the knees a little bit wider apart if that feels comfortable. You can add in any props you want. Extend the arms all the way forward as you lower the forehead towards either a prop or the floor. And see what it feels like to bring the palms of the hands together. With the elbows on the floor, bend the elbows to point the fingertips towards the ceiling. You can walk the elbows a little closer together. You could also have them up on a prop if that feels better. Settle the hips here. Maybe give the head just as a gentle rock side to side. And then find your stillness. Notice your breath. Awesome. If the fingers are pointing towards the ceiling, re-extend the arms down to the floor. Pull the body up to a tabletop position. Hands roughly under the shoulders, knees roughly underneath the hips, and then tuck the toes here. And pressing the hands and the feet to the floor, lift the knees just about an inch up off the floor. Find that length from the tailbone to the crown, maybe a slight hug through the low belly, and then make sure you're still breathing here. If the face feels like it's tensing, maybe you can soften it a little bit. Be with whatever you're feeling. Last couple of deep breaths. Awesome. Last inhale. And lower the knees as you exhale. Lower all the way down to the belly. Take the hands a little wider apart. You can either be up on fingertips or with the palms flat to the floor. And when you're ready with an inhale breath, curl the chest up off the floor. Maybe lift the gaze. And then soften it down. A few more like that. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more. Adding on, as you inhale this time, lift up, look to the left, and then as you exhale back to center and lower. Inhale, lift, now look towards the right, and then soften through center. A couple more each side. Final lift. And lower. Now hands under the shoulders and press up to tabletop. And this time tuck the toes, lift the knees, and we'll find downward facing dog. And take a few breaths here, stretch out the backs of the legs, maybe pedal through the knees, through the ankles. You can pulse forward towards plank and then back towards dog. You can adjust the relationship between the hands and the feet and find the version of down dog that feels the best in your body today. When you feel ready, you can find your stillness in this shape. You might close down the eyes or let the gaze be somewhere between the feet. Let the spine, let the head be heavy. And keep the hands pushing into the floor, create some stability for the shoulders. Awesome. And when you're ready from your downward facing dog, take an inhale and lift the left leg up behind you as high as you can. As you exhale, bring the left knee in towards the left elbow. Inhale, send the leg straight back up. And then knee to elbow as you exhale. We'll do 3 more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. In. And out. Now inhale, send the leg back up. And this time as you exhale, step the left foot just outside the left hand, and you can lower the right knee to the floor. And setting up a lizard lunge, so the left foot can be pointing wherever feels the most comfortable for the knee, for the hip. You can widen your base as much as you need. Your hands can stay under the shoulder here. You are also welcome to use your props if the floor is a little far away. And if you have space that you want to lower to the elbows, then go for it. And again, you can use your props for this. And take a check in here, maybe give the hips a little rock side to side. You could even do a few circles and see if there are any sticky spots you want to look out for. If you want a more active version of the shape, you can tuck the back toes and lift the back knee up. Either way, stay with your breath. Keep the gaze down towards the floor, keep the spine long. Awesome. If you're on the elbows, you can lift up onto the hands. And if the back knee is lowered, lift it up. And from this higher lunge, take a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, we'll step the right foot outside the right hand and then sink the hips in for a squat. And check in here, you have your props nearby if you want to elevate or if you want to support the heels a little bit. Hands can stay down, or maybe hands come to prayer. If the hands are pressing together, they might be pressing the knees apart, so maybe just create a little resistance with the knees, something to help support and stabilize the spine as well. Gaze steady or eyes closed. Find your breath here. Awesome. If the hands are lifted, bring them to the floor and then slowly start to extend the hips as you find your forward fold. You can use your props again if the floor is a little far away. You can give the hips, give the legs a little movement just to check in here. You can give yourself as much of a bend to the knees as you need to help the spine feel heavier, to help the low back feel less intense if there's pinching or anything like that. You can also be in more of a halfway lift. From your fold, if it feels okay, bring the hands to cup the ears, and then using the weight of the head and of the arms, let the spine hang a little heavier. Yeah, as you're folding here, you might take a moment to notice where the weight is in the feet. Is it more in the heels? Sometimes that happens, or more in the toes. Maybe you can balance those two out. If you have the bind, you can let it go. Bring the hands somewhere to the legs. Take an inhale breath, find a halfway lift, lengthen. And sigh out the mouth, fold back in. Twice more. Inhale. Last one. Now inhale, a halfway lift. And pause here as you exhale. Walk the hands up the legs with a flat back. Come all the way up to stand. And if anything needs a little shakeout as you arrive, go for it. If you feel a little lightheaded, you can catch hold of something. You could raise the arms up towards the ceiling. And when you're ready, come and find your mountain pose. So feet can point wherever they feel the most natural. Lift and spread the toes, lower them maybe with a little gap in between each one. As the feet press down, find a rebound through the spine, a little softness for the shoulders, that length through the back of the neck. And the hands can point just wherever they naturally would, forward or maybe inwards. Notice your breath here. Awesome. And then we'll set up to balance. If you like to have a gaze point to keep you steady, then go for it. Keeping the right foot steady, come onto the left tippy toes, and then point the left knee towards the left. You can stay right here for tree pose, or you can connect the foot to ankle, calf, maybe to the inner thigh. Notice what's happening in the lower body. If it feels like the left foot is just pressing the right leg towards the right, imagine that you could press that right leg back into the left foot, create that resistance. As the right foot presses down to the floor, imagine that rebound, some space for the chest, some softness for the shoulders. And see what you like to do with the arms. You can leave them down, have them out to prayer, to the ceiling. If you really want to challenge balance, you can play with closing down the eyes, and it might just last a second, and that's okay. Make sure you have clear space behind you if you need to tumble. And for the last few breaths in the pose, notice your breath. Is it feeling more chesty? Maybe you can invite a little more room to the belly, the side ribs, the back body. Awesome. If the arms are lifted, you can bring them down and bring that left knee to center. And then we'll cross the left foot in front of the right. And take the right hand to the right hip, left arm towards the ceiling, deep inhale, stretch. And then as you exhale, let the hips go to the left a little bit, let the top arm go over towards the right. It can stay extended, or you can bend the elbow, catch the head, and keep the chest nice and spacious, stretch the armpit, the tricep. Breathe here. Awesome. Inhale, breath, come on up. And then you can uncross and cross the opposite way. So right foot in front of left. Left hand to the left hip, right arm to the ceiling. Deep inhale. Hips go right, top arm goes left as you stretch out that right hand side. Top arm extended or bent. Breathe into that stretch. All right, inhale, breath, come on up. Release the arm, the leg, give everything a little shake out. And then from the top of your mat, inhale, breath, circle the arms up. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Halfway lift to lengthen. And plant your palms and step to plank pose. Deep inhale here. With your exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. You can use the knees. Untuck the toes, cobra pose as you inhale, lift up any amount. And then soften down. And twice more. Awesome. Inhale up to tabletop. And then choose either child's pose or downward facing dog for about 8 breaths. If there's somewhere else you'd like to rest, you're welcome to go there as well. Choose any quiet, symmetrical shape. If your body's craving movement, then you could come to cat-cow, and you could flow. And listen to your body. You can rest as much as you need. And whenever you feel ready, you can come to your downward facing dog. And when you arrive, take as much time as you need to set yourself up. Maybe find a little movement. And only when you're ready, lift the right leg up with a deep inhale. Right knee towards the right elbow as you exhale. Inhale, send it back. Knee to elbow. 3 more. Nice and slow. Last one. Inhale, send the leg up. As you exhale, step the right foot outside the right hand and lower the left knee to the floor. And setting up your lizard lunge for the second side. So again, just take a little movement here. Adjust. The right foot can point forward to the side, even further out. See what feels best for the knee, for the hip. You can stay on hands. If you explored it on the other side, you can think about lowering. And we're not completely symmetrical side to side, so the side's expression may end up looking a little different. If you did so on the first side, then think about tucking the back toes, lifting that back knee up. Wherever you are, keep breathing. Awesome. If you're on the elbows, you can make your way up to the hands. And if the back knee's lowered, lift it. And take a deep inhale. With your exhale, step the left foot outside the left hand, and then sink the hips for your squat. The second round here, so if you need to adjust anything, then go for it. Maybe hands are to the floor or to prayer. And keep the spine nice and long. Keep the chest proud. The shoulders can soften if they're shrugging. Breathe here. If you need a little more time in your squat, you can stay. Otherwise, hands down and hips start to lift up. Heel toe the feet a little closer together. Option for this expression to take gorilla arms. So for that one, you'll lift each foot and then slide the hand underneath, the sole to palm, giving the wrists a nice stretch out here. And this might require you to keep a deeper bend to the knees, and that's okay. Wherever you are, stillness, maybe a little movement to set up. Let the spine be nice and heavy. If you're standing on the hands, then you can release them and come to your halfway lift and lengthen. Deep inhale. And sigh as you fold. Twice more. Last one. Inhale, halfway lift. And then pause here with the exhale. Belly stays strong. Walk the hands up the legs. Come all the way up with a flat back. And then give yourself a little movement here, whatever you need. The shoulders soften down. Find your mountain pose. Take that scan through the body just to notice. Awesome. And then when you're ready, we'll set up for that tree pose, second side. You might lift and spread those left toes out a little bit, really anchor them down. Come onto the right tippy toes, right knee points right. And then you can stay, foot to ankle, calf, inner thigh. This side may feel a little different, maybe a little more wobbly. Just make sure you keep breathing here. Notice what's happening in the body. Create that resistance with the left leg. Keep the hips nice and steady. Keep that length in the spine, that space for the chest. Maybe arms reach up or hands to prayer. And keep breathing deeply here. Last couple of deep breaths. Maybe the face, the forehead can soften a little bit. Awesome. If the arms are lifted, you can lower them. And then inhale, lift that right knee to center, and then cross the right leg over the left. Now your props might be handy for this because we're going to come to a fold. So your hard blocks, if you have them, lining up the pinky toe edges with the feet, and then mindful as you fold forward, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, you can start to hinge from the hips. Hands can find blocks or the floor. And for this forward fold, you might need to keep a bend to the knees, make sure that everything is still cooperating, everything's coming with you. As you let the spine get heavy, you might start to feel an intense stretch through that left leg. So breathe into it and stay out of pain. If you start to feel pinching or anything sharp or electric, then you can come to your halfway lift or even uncross the legs. Awesome. Keep the legs crossed. Come to a halfway lift shape. And then we'll take that left leg and bring it around the right and then cross it in front. If you need to adjust anything else, then go for it. Again, you can stay in your halfway lift, or as you feel ready, you can start to fold over the legs and see what this side feels like. Adding as much of a bend as you need. Listen to your body. Awesome. Come back to your halfway lift. Uncross the legs. A deep inhale. Fold and sigh. Twice more. Last one. Strong belly, flat back, circle the arms, come all the way up to stand. If you're at all lightheaded, keep the arms lifted for as long as you need. And then when you're ready, release them. Come and find your mountain pose. Maybe lift and spread the toes, lower them with a little gap in between each one. Lift the shoulders up, broaden the chest, and then soften the shoulders back and down. Arms are heavy. Maybe the eyes close down. Find your breath here. That spacer's breath through the whole torso. Only when you feel ready, you can wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe give the body a gentle rock side to side, some gentle twists. Awesome. As you come back to center, you can step to the middle of the mat like I am, and just have your hard blocks and maybe your strap nearby because they might come handy. So from the middle of your mat, take your feet nice and wide apart, point the toes out at an angle, almost like you're going to squat, and then start to bend the knees and we'll come and find goddess pose. You might give the hips just a rock side to side. I like to track the knees and the feet together. I find that works for my body, so play around and see what works best for yours. Find a depth that feels appropriate, somewhere that you can still breathe comfortably. And listen to your body and your breath. If you're losing that connection, you can come out any time. Awesome. Once you find it, you can steady the gaze. And then reach the left arm forward and take it across the body. You can hook that right arm underneath and then start to bring that right hand a little closer to the head until you feel a nice stretch to the outside of the left shoulder. And breathe here. All right, release the arms. You can stay in goddess or extend the legs for a moment just to give yourself a break. When you're ready, we'll take the second side. So right arm reaches over and across, left arm hooks under, and then left hand a little closer to the head until you stretch out the outside of that right shoulder and arm. Keep breathing. Last few deep breaths. Awesome. Let go of the arms, extend the legs. Now parallel the feet. And press the feet to the floor, lengthen the spine, deep inhale. And stay here for the exhale. Inhale, circle the arms up. And then hinge forward, wide-legged forward fold. And take the first couple of breaths just to set up. So if you want to widen your base, if you want to adjust where the feet are pointing, then go for it. You can use any of your props here. So if you want to stay with blocks, maybe in a halfway lift or in a fold, then go for it. If you don't need the hands for support, then think about finding a bind, interlacing the hands at the low back, and your strap is nearby if you want to use that instead. Your hands can stay at the low back. You could also think about extending the arms, maybe reaching fist up towards the ceiling. Even here, notice where the weight is. Is it more heels or toes? Maybe you can balance the two out. Either way, the hips stay high, spine stays heavy. Let the head be completely heavy. Maybe give it a nod, yes and no, to release. Awesome. If the arms are interlaced, you can release them, bring them down to the floor. And then slowly start to walk the feet a little closer together. You can step one knee down to the floor and then the other, and come and find a tabletop position. And look around to find your hard blocks. You can stack them together and then bring them somewhere between the calves. And step that left knee forward and cross the left foot over towards the right, and then bring the right knee behind it, right foot over towards the left. So the thighs are crossed, and then start to bring your weight back and bring your bum down onto the seat that you made. And check in here to see if there's anything you need to adjust the shape. You can play with where the feet are. If the knees are quite separate, then sliding a prop in between might be handy. If you want to explore less height with your props, then go for it. Maybe you're taking one or even both blocks away. If you do so and the shape becomes too intense, then maybe add it back in. Also, if you find yourself kind of listing to one side, that might be a sign that you'd benefit from a little more height. If you're happy with this, then you can stay, or think about adding the arm expression in as well. Take the strap to the right hand, reach it up towards the ceiling, and then bend the elbow so that the hand is somewhere behind the neck. Reach the left arm out towards the left with the thumb pointing down, and then bend the left elbow so you can catch the other end of the strap with the left hand. You could think about walking the hands a little closer together. Maybe you don't even need the strap. But if without the strap you find yourself curling in, see if you can prioritize keeping that nice diagonal from the left elbow up towards the right. And once you've found your shape, let's see if you can find your breath once again. And finding those smooth and steady inhales and smooth and steady exhales. If you have the bind, then you can gently release the strap and maybe take it down to the side. It might feel good to roll the shoulders up and down a couple of times. And so that last time from tabletop, we took the left knee in front. You can either come through tabletop and come in the exact same way, this time with the right knee in front. Otherwise, if the left leg is on top, you'll take the hands down to the right. And think about pressing through the hands and feet, lifting the hips up, and then keep walking yourself in that clockwise direction and come all the way around. And then as you lower the hips back through center, you might end up on the second side. And things might still need a little adjusting, so take your time to set yourself up. It's also possible that this side needs a little more or less height for the hips, or maybe your props a little differently, so just take your time and play around. And find that steadiness through the hips, that length in the spine. If you want to take the bind for the arms, then strap to the left hand, reach it towards the ceiling, and then bend the elbow, hand towards the back of the head. Right arm reaches out, thumb pointing down, and then bend that elbow to catch the other end. And just like with everything else, the side may feel a little different with this strat. So give yourself as much slack as you need to keep the chest nice and proud. And then breathe into whatever you're feeling. And if you start to feel pinching or anything like that, give yourself some more slack, or you can do the half bind. You can release it all together. Awesome. Gently release this side for the strap. Maybe roll the shoulders a couple of times. Awesome. And then you can lift that top leg off and lift the bottom leg off. And you can come down off of your props. It'll probably feel nice to give yourself a good windshield wiper side to side. Awesome. And then from here, lower all the way down onto the back. We'll just pause here for a second. So take the feet a little bit wider, rest the knees in together, hands somewhere on the body. And take a few deep breaths. Awesome. When you feel ready, you can walk the feet a little bit closer and lift the left leg up and cross it over the right, thighs together, and then scoot the hips over towards the left. You can bring a couple blocks down towards the right and then start to take the knees down as well, and you can maybe lower them onto some props. If for any reason twisting like this doesn't work for you, feel free to take a 2-knee twist or a 1-knee twist. Arms might come out to a T shape, and you can prop that left shoulder if it's hovering. Gaze can stay center, or you can take the gaze down to the left and twist a little further up the spine. Bringing the head back to center first, and then slowly unravel the legs back to center, one at a time or together. And scoot the hips to midline. This time we'll wrap the right leg around the left, and then hips towards the right, knees down towards the left to land on a prop, or find your version of a twist here. Maybe the gaze down towards the right. Finding your pain-free expression. Staying connected with your breath. Gently bring the head back to center, and then unravel the lower body back to center. Maybe hips to midline. It might feel nice to pause with the knees together, or maybe give yourself a gentle windshield wiper side to side. Awesome. And when you're ready, collect the knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the shins, and give yourself just a roll side to side. You can stay with this or take it to happy baby. Reach between the knees, catch hold of feet, ankles, or shins. Maybe feet up towards the ceiling. And you might keep a rock going side to side. You could also play with extending one leg and then rebending it to extend the other. See what feels best. Gently guide the feet together and down towards the floor. For Shavasana today, we'll set up for butterfly shape. So feet together, knees wide. You can have the feet as close to the body as you like. You can also prop the thighs with a block, just so that they don't feel like they have to hold up. If your body's asking for anything else before you settle, then feel free to take a little movement or any other quiet shape that you need. If for any reason resting in butterfly isn't working for you, then feel free to come to a traditional Shavasana shape or any other comfortable symmetrical pose. Let the arms find a comfortable spot. Maybe give the head a gentle rock side to side, helping to release the neck. Maybe a little jiggle for the jaw to release. Or you can run the tongue along the teeth between teeth and lips, top set and then bottom set. Notice the space around the eyes and the eyebrows. Maybe you can soften there a little bit. Notice your breath. Gently let it return to its natural inhale and exhale. And find your rest. Gently deepen the breath to reawaken the body. If your knees are wide, you can reach down and then gently guide them together. You can either come to a windshield wiper or counter stretch. You can take the feet wide and the knees together for a few breaths. And when you're ready, you can roll down to one side and maybe pause for a breath or two. With the support of the hands, come on up to find any comfortable seated position. You can use any of your props for a little extra support. And take a moment to settle the hips, to lengthen the spine, to soften the shoulders. And take a scan through the body just to notice. Notice your breath. The hands can stay where they've landed or collect them at the heart. Maybe bow the chin towards the chest. Thank you for sharing your breath and your energy. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for Hatha Practice, and my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your week.